So Melania Trump recently published a book, and in this book, she came out as pro-choice, which, I'm sure was a surprise to everybody. So this issue, I think, could be very disastrous for the Trump campaign, and I'll lay out my reasons why. I'll show you the clip first, and then we'll talk about it. I want you to think, as you're watching this clip, though, I want you to think about this. When was the last time you saw Melania and Donald Trump together publicly? Because the last time that I could think of was several months ago at the RNC. But these are two individuals that, despite the fact that they're married, we rarely see these people together, right? Melania Trump lives in New York. Donald Trump famously lives at Mar-a-Lago in Florida. These people are completely far apart, right? They are so far apart, I don't even know if these people talk on the phone together. They're married, right? But we don't see them together ever, which is weird. It's very weird. So the fact that she's taking such a defiant stance against him publicly is bizarre. And I think there's probably going to be more of this to come because there's issues that I can predict that she probably does not see eye to eye with her husband on, like immigration, like the rhetoric about crime. I think that these are, and on top of this, abortion as well. I think these are the issues where Donald Trump has a lot to say on, and I think that it's very popular among his base. But the fact that his wife is publicly taking such a strong stance against one of his positions is very disastrous. But let's watch the clip.
Had you spoken to President Trump about that before you wrote that in the book?
Okay, already starts off wrong. This is not how you ask this question. You know that abortion, Fox News is oblivious sometimes to what the national polling says about issues. This is an issue that is completely right now framed around personal freedom. You do not start this question by asking, hey, did you get your husband's permission to have this opinion? Melania Trump is not Donald Trump's property. As much as Fox News, is so biblical and wants women to be men's properties when they get married, that's just not the case, and that's not even how married women will see that, right? So already, they're starting off wrong.
Yes, he knew my position and my beliefs since the day we met. And I believe in individual freedom. I want to decide what I want to do with my body. I think I don't want government in my personal business.
Who does that sound like to you? This sounds like a leftist, right? These are leftist talking points. I want personal freedom. I don't want the government in my body. Who does that sound like? That sounds like the left. That sounds like Tim Walz. That sounds like Kamala Harris. That sounds like people that are screaming this from the rooftops, right? I'm sure she's held this position for a long time. Because I'm going to take her at face value here. When I'm going to believe that she has taken this position since she met Donald Trump. The way she talks about it is she talks about it like a leftist, right? Let's hear that again.
And I believe in individual freedom. I want to decide what I want to do with my body. I think I don't want government in my personal business. I think it's very important. And as I said in the book, and it's very well explained in the chapter, what does really my body, my choice means? Because timing really matters, and also the restrictions. So I encourage people to read it, because we live in the world that everybody should have individual freedom. That was not written in the last week or the last month.
These are your convictions.
Correct, but that book was written months before, and it was in a print months before.
Okay, so I haven't seen the full. For some reason, the question gets cut off here. The way they edited this, I'm gonna predict and say that what she asked her was, why all of a sudden? Why do you have this position now? A month before the election. So Melania Trump responds by saying, these words were already written. The book was already in print. It's not really my decision when the publisher decides to print this book. The interesting thing about this, right, is that over the last couple of weeks, Donald Trump has cried foul over multiple instances when something is released that doesn't make him look good. One of the first things that was released just recently, I think last week, was the federal judge that unsealed the FBI indictment into Donald Trump's 2020 effort to overturn the election. That document was unsealed. Donald Trump immediately hopped on Truth Social and cried foul, called this election interference because he came out a month before the election. Funny enough, it wasn't election interference when, in 2016, the FBI released that memo into Hillary Clinton where they were saying that they were reopening the investigation into her emails. He didn't cry foul back then. He didn't say, oh, that was election interference for Hillary Clinton, right? Because that affected the election, I think. There was a lot of issues wrong with her campaign, obviously. That was one of the things that came out, and I think that probably did sway some votes because it made her look untrustworthy. But it wasn't election interference back then, right? It happened a few days before the election when that memo was released, right? He wasn't crying foul then, but now because it affects him, now because it hurts his prospective chances of becoming president, now he wants to cry foul, right? The other thing that came out too, Jeremy Strong and I can't remember the other actor's name, but they're coming out with a movie where I don't know. Listen, I haven't really looked into it that much, but Donald Trump's already crying foul about this movie. I'm assuming it doesn't make him look good. Like, I'm assuming that whatever portrayal of him in there, he took offense to, doesn't like. But it's a movie about Donald Trump's early years, right? So he doesn't like it. He's calling it election interference. He's calling a movie released about him election interference. Everything that hurts him that's coming out in this month or has come out in the last couple weeks is election interference to this guy. So this is, in a way, election interference, right? And I'll tell you, there's something a little bit more sinister going on here. It's weird that they don't live together, right? And it's weird that she's almost being hidden. It's almost as if they're trying to silence her opinions. It's almost like, in the past, she's talked about her husband being a bit of a bully, and she's taken a stance against the way that the rhetoric is affecting kids in schools. She didn't like the way that his rhetoric was influencing kids when it came to their behavior. But that was about the strongest thing that I've seen since this, right? This is a public. This is her defiantly. And I'm not saying defiantly in like a bad way. I'm glad she did this. And I think she will probably continue to break on with Donald Trump on multiple issues as the time progresses. I think that she's sort of testing the waters of a potential NDA here. Let's see what I can get away with. Melania Trump is not dumb. She knows this issue will hurt Donald Trump in the election. There's a reason why Donald Trump is so crass when it comes to talking about things like shitting on immigrants, shitting on people that he disagrees with, shitting on LGBT, shitting on trans people. There's a reason why he's so crass when it comes to those issues. He knows that these are issues that his base likes to hear about. He doesn't take such a strong position on abortion because this affects him electorally. His entire legacy now will be defined by abortion. This will make a lot of voters in a lot of swing states. And all the swing states where abortion is on the ballot are going to be very, very competitive. But I think the thing that will push those elections towards the Democratic candidate, towards Kamala Harris, is going to be abortion. That's going to be the number one issue, I think, for a lot of people heading into this election next month. And Donald Trump knows this, right? Donald Trump knows this, and I think Melania Trump knows this as well. What have his responses been when people have asked him, hey, Mr. Former President, if you get a national abortion ban on your desk, are you going to sign it? What has he said? Oh, it's not going to come to my desk. When J.D. Vance gets asked the same question, he sort of had like this little meek response. Secretly, they want to do a national abortion ban. I think that's what his base wants. Because remember, his base is like fundamentalist Christians and fundamentalist Catholics, right? And evangelicals, just crazy, just like people that have the most extreme position on abortion. And we just talked about the other day the Catholic Church. The official Catholic position on abortion is no abortion, even in the cases of rape and incest, which should be, if you believe in America and you believe in democracy, and even if you have like the most hardline position on abortion, you need to carve out exceptions for rape and incest. But the Catholic Church has not done so, and people on Trump's cabinet and people that are close to Trump, his allies, they want an abortion ban. They are taking they secretly They want the most hardline position on abortion. The problem here, of course, is that now his wife is coming out publicly on this issue. That's going to cast a lot of doubt with a lot of these Christian voters. They're going to be wondering, why is she speaking out against him? And can we trust Donald Trump now? Because this is a sign of weakness for these people. I mean, in a normal household, a normal marriage, yeah, I will have disagreements with somebody, but it's not the people that I'm aligned with aren't going to question my house because of political disagreements that my wife and I have. This is much different, right? These people literally think that Melania Trump belongs to Donald Trump, right? They see this weakness, and they think that his house is out of order. In the past, when Donald Trump has sort of like tried to defend his record on abortion, some Christians have come out on Twitter and on X and have been like, "This, I'm not voting for you," and it's gotten him to sort of change his tune. This is not good for him. I guarantee you, this is not good for him. He's trying to make it look okay, but it's going to affect him electorally, and we're gonna have to wait and see what happens. But I think this signals something much deeper. This signals a broken marriage. This signals Melania Trump sort of testing the waters and see what she can get away with saying. She didn't have anything to do with the timing. She didn't have anything to do with the way that the publisher scheduled this release. But this Fox interview, though, this is on purpose. I think that she knows what she's doing here. She knows that it will hurt him electorally, and Donald Trump knows this as well. He's not dumb when it comes to this. He knows what issues he's strong on. He knows what issues he's weak on. He's weak on this issue. On this issue, he loses 9 times out of 10. It's interesting. We'll see what happens.